Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new here or a returning subscriber, thank you so much for your love and support. I seriously appreciate it so much. This is the most consistent I have ever been posting on YouTube since I started sharing my life on social media. So to have you here in this video means so much to me. I really appreciate it. And you guys are encouraging me to make more great content that really makes me feel like I'm sharing who I am and inspires other people to be themselves. And today I have a very exciting video for you. My top books of 2021. Reading has been one of my favorite pastimes this year. It's been great for my vocabulary, my creativity. It's a great way to keep me from scrolling off my phone, but still keep me entertained. So many good stories. I really shifted my focus in reading from self-help to reading more fiction books this year, some more like enticing stories, you know, and that's something that I really haven't done since I was in like grade school, like the whole reading for fun thing. You know, the older you get and the more you have to read for requirements for school and all that stuff, it just seems more of a chore than something that can be enjoyable for you. So I've really focused on reading books that bring me joy, that spark creativity, and this year I found some really great books I thoroughly enjoyed and I want to share with you guys. A lot of them have been popular reads among a lot of people this year. So without further ado, let's get into my favorite books of the year. I'm gonna try to give you a little bit of a synopsis about what the book is without ruining the whole entire plot. So if you guys are interested, you can read them yourselves. This is probably the most popular book other people post about online this year, and it is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This author was one of my absolute favorites this year. I'm finishing Malibu Rising, which is also by her. She has some really great character crossover throughout her books. This book is all about Hollywood elite in the 1950s, and it follows the life of Evelyn Hugo. She's kind of writing her memoir through the eyes of someone else, and their lives intersect pretty significantly. I'm not gonna spoil it, but it is a great read if you want something that's very entertaining, and I think she is a great writer, very descriptive, made me really feel like I was in the 1950s with Evelyn throughout this entire book, so I really recommend this one. I also want to quickly mention that a lot of these books that you're about to see are through Book of the Month Club. This video is not sponsored. They're not paying me to say this. I've never been paid to work with them, although I would absolutely love to because it's a service that I've come to absolutely adore this year. I don't have too many subscription services, but this is the one that I've maintained the entirety of 2021, and you basically pay a subscription fee and then you get hardcover books. I didn't get this one from Book of the Month, but they do have this on Book of the Month as well as most of the other books I'm going to show you. And so you get a new book every single month. They offer 5 books that you can pick from at the beginning of every month that are like selected. Some of them are unreleased, some of them are debuted on Book of the Month, but they're all hardcover, which I really like. As you can see, I have this little bookcase over here. It's usually more full, but obviously I've got a stack of them here that are usually up there, but I really like putting my books on display. It's great. It'd be a great Christmas gift for the bookworm in your life or to put on your own list. So I just want to throw that out there. I do have a code down below. Everyone has a code if you're a member on the app. It's just like a referral link. I do believe that it gets you a discount on your first month subscription, so you can check that out if you want, but I just wanted to throw that in there to let you know where I get all my books from. Next book is kind of more of a self-help book. This is actually the only self-help book that I have throughout this entire video. It is called 8 Dates. And I read this right about the time Tristan and I moved in together, and it was like great timing. It's a great thought-provoking book for you to read if you're in a relationship or if you're about to enter a relationship or you're looking to enter a relationship. Just offers some really great questions and conversations to have with your partner. I found this to be super helpful as this is the first year Tristan and I have ever lived together. It's been a bit challenging to navigate, but this book really helped put some things in perspective and sparked a lot of really meaningful and impactful conversations between Tristan and I. So if you guys are in a relationship, looking to enter a relationship, any of the above, this is a great book, and it was super duper short. I think I read it in a few days, but I really liked it. This would be my one and only self-help book of the year. Again, kind of I've been straying away from self-help because not everything that's offered in those books is applicable to everyone's lives, and I just really think that some of them can be helpful, but I don't think you should take them as your truth unless you put them into action for yourself and see how their recommendations work for you. So that's kind of my 2 cents on self-help books. Next book, I actually have 2 books by this author. So captivating, pretty quick reads for being a thicker book, but these are just literally some of my favorite feel-good romancy books that I've ever read. This one is called Beach Read This is about two kind of like enemies becoming friends. That's kind of all I'm really gonna say, but they are writers, and I think the way that this story develops was super unique and beautiful. Lots of twists and turns. It wasn't super unpredictable, but it also wasn't super predictable. And Emily Henry, as well as Taylor Jenkins Reid, which is the author of Seven Husbands of Evelyn and Hugo, are fabulous writers. I'm a huge fan of all of the books that I've read from them, and I've got a couple more on my bucket list to read, but Beach Read was super good. I actually read this at the beach, so if you have a beach trip planned, this would be a great option. You don't have to read it at the beach. It's the perfect kind of, you know, vacation, relaxing, feel-good story with a little bit of romance, some twists and turns. I really liked this book. And the other book by her, this is called People We Meet on Vacation. I believe that I read this on a plane, maybe on a vacation, but on a plane. This is from Book of the Month Club. This was such a good book. It's about two best friends, kind of them reconnecting and where their lives go from there, but it's really good. The main character is like a travel blogger, which I found very interesting because she talks a bit about like what it's like to kind of like be an influencer and work for companies and travel and stuff. So I kind of related to that on a personal level, and I really liked this one. It was a pretty captivating read, and the vocabulary is endearing, but it's not too challenging. Like I didn't find this, I wasn't rereading sentences like what did she just say. There's a lot of dialogue between both of these books. I have found that I really enjoy books that have a lot of dialogue because they're really easy to follow, and it makes me feel like I have a more personal connection with the characters. So this book was great. Next book, this is a reread. I think I've read it 2 or 3 times this year, and that is The Alchemist. This is one of my favorite stories. I wouldn't classify this as a self-help book, but the kind of whole point of this book is to give you insight on yourself. So this follows a shepherd and his quest to his destiny while working with an alchemist. I don't want to ruin it too much because this is a pretty short read, but it's super good. If you've never read this book, I highly recommend it. No matter if you're into self-help or fiction or any kind of genre of book, this is a great one. It's very insightful, and I think it can help you reflect in your own life and kind of translate this story to your own story. So I really like this one. I highly recommend. Again, super quick read, and this author is great. I have a couple other books from him on my shelf that I haven't read yet, so I'm very excited to read those, but this is a fabulous book and I can't recommend it highly enough. I've gifted this book multiple times. It's just a great read, and I feel like everyone can benefit from it. This next book really took me by surprise, another Book of the Month Club. It's called A Little Hope by Ethan Joella. This one wasn't very long either. I read it when I went home to my parents' house in like the matter of a weekend, and it was super good. I'm trying to look. It has 279 pages, but the print is pretty large. This book was so unique, very different from other books I've read this year. It basically follows, I think, like 5 to 7 characters that all live in a little town in Connecticut, and it kind of like shows how their stories really weave together, how characters are connected, how one story impacts another. And I just really liked this author's writing style. It wasn't super direct in the sense that like there were some pretty major things that happened throughout this book, but the way that they were brought up were very subtle, and it was through a different character's perspective than you weren't expecting. So I really did like this book, and not a spoiler, but it does have a nice ending, a nice heartfelt ending. So I really did enjoy this book as well. This book has been all the craze this year. I'm sure you've heard about it. I got it on Book of the Month Club. It is It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. When I first posted this book on social media, my DMs were flooded. People were like, this book's gonna destroy you. This was the best book I've ever read. And I have to agree to a certain extent. I wouldn't say it's the best book that I've ever read in my life, but I did really like it. It was a very captivating story. It was not what I was expecting at all. One thing I will say, this isn't a spoiler or anything, but this does touch on topics of domestic abuse. So trigger warning, if you want to read this book and you have previous trauma surrounding abuse, I might skip this one. Although I did think that it offered a very unique perspective on abuse and how it can translate from different generations into another. It is very interesting. I can't say too much without giving the book away, but I just wanted to touch on that if you are thinking about reading this book, because I didn't realize that's what the book was about, and thankfully I do not have any previous trauma with domestic abuse. But if you do, tread lightly. Although if you don't have any, this is something that I don't really have any experience with or any real personal insight on, like with other people in my life or in my own life. So I found her take on it to be very interesting, and I do believe in the end of the book, I did find it interesting in notes from the author, she kind of touches on how this story relates to her own childhood and things she observed. So I do think it's a very unique perspective. Overall, really great read, super captivating. I think I read like 3/4 of this on a plane ride and then finished it when I got home. I really like this book. Also, if you fly pretty frequently, grab a book. It's the best place to read. I always tell myself I'm gonna do work on a plane and then I never do, I just read. And my final book is Are the Brennans. Honestly, started this book thinking this is super dry, I'm not gonna like this, I don't think this is a great story, and I ended it just like shocked at how captivated I was throughout this book. And again, not a spoiler, but there is a pretty big cliffhanger at the end of this book, and I was really hoping that I could find a sequel for it. I don't think she's writing one, and there's not one out now, but this was such a good book. It follows a character who left her hometown on the East Coast to move to the West Coast, and it starts with her getting in a drunk driving accident. Like, she had been drinking and driving and crashed her car, and then she has to go home and kind of relive the reasons that she left her hometown to begin with. It follows the Brennan family, and it's told from multiple characters' perspectives, and I found that I really like books that do that because it offers you so many different viewpoints of one story that you're consuming, and I just find that to be very intriguing to me. Last book on my 2021 favorites, again, most of these were fiction books. I've just really enjoyed a nice captivating story. I think I've said captivating like 50 times in this video, but that is it for my best books of 2021. Let me know if you guys have read any of these books in the comments. Leave your thoughts, leave recommendations for other books that I should read. I've got a long laundry list, a long bucket list of books to read in 2022. I'm thinking about making some sort of New Year's resolution around reading because it's a habit that I really stuck to this year, although I didn't have a goal to like read X amount of books or read every day or anything like that. But now that I've made reading one of my hobbies and things I like to do for fun, I think that maybe I'll challenge myself to read X amount of books in 2022. So leave your book recommendations down below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and are inspired to either join Book of the Month Club or hit your local bookstore or your local library and pick up a couple books to read over the holiday season. It's a great way to spend your downtime and keeps you from scrolling on your phone, so that's always a plus in my book. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe down below. Drop a comment on what you think of this video, what else you want to see for Vlogmas, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!